Welcome back, everybody. Today's Zoom catch-up chat is Gareth, who's from Journey Beyond. He's the New South Wales ACT account manager.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, pretty close. And obviously, with like a few of the reps we've had on the last few days, with this hopeful domestic, part of the industry opening up, we thought, who better to get on and give us an update on what's happening in their world than the people that do that part of travel, really, really well and have some really great products and brands that they represent. So, Gareth, I'm sure a few people out there know who you are, but for anyone that doesn't, how about you give us a bit of your background and how you've ended up here today?
So thank you. Thanks, Josh. Good to see you. I'm a proud Kiwi. I think it's probably the most blatantly obvious point when you hear me talk, especially certain words. I'll say a sucks every now and then, some fish and chops. Been in Australia for 7 years, and that's pretty much when I honestly fell into tourism. Came over here without a job, the classic Kiwi turning up, just wanting to live the Australian dream on the beach in Sydney. And I fell into the backpacker industry. That's where I really started. And I learnt way more than you could ever plan to learn. Worked for New Zealand backpacker hop on off company. Then my liver really started to realize that this is not the section of the industry I should be in. So I switched across to the grown up side of it. After spending a bit of time doing looking after a Hunter Valley wine tour business, I went into AET Kings, where I spent 2 years as a state manager here in Sydney. Obviously they're looking after Australia and New Zealand, so I didn't want to go too far away from what I know. And then after that, about 18 months ago, a bit more, I moved across to Journey Beyond and jumped onto the trains. I think for me, the big thing with tourism, anything I'm selling, I need to believe, I need to be passionate about it. And honestly, I know Australia, I know New Zealand at the back of my hand. I literally was watching some video the other day about, going back to New Zealand and all these places you can go and see. And I literally ticked off everything. I've been to all these places. I know them. I can see them. In Australia, I can't say I've been everywhere, but I've done pretty close to going to everywhere. And these are two of the best countries in the world. So it's easy places to sell. And that's kind of why I sort of have stuck to that side. I've had opportunities to go to, international products and that side of it. But I've found that sell what you love, sell what you know. If you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life, they always say.
Absolutely. And speaking of that day in the life or not working any days in your life, how's that all looking for you at the moment? How's social distancing going? How's the last few months been in your world?
Yeah, so it's interesting. For me personally, I've probably got a bit of a different one than most people. I had a baby born 11 weeks ago. So we literally, I think, had a week. I went to work afterwards, where I worked for a full week, and then everything turned. So I think he was 3 weeks old when coronavirus fully came a big thing, and we were stuck at home. So I have worked 2 days a week for the majority of his life, which has been absolutely fantastic. Talk about a silver lining. I would have been around a quarter of the time I have been, whether it's been traveling or whether it's just generally having to go to work 5 days a week. So for me, that's been a huge silver lining, and it's obviously worked out really well. And I couldn't be happier about that. Just would be nice if I could have a bit more money in my bank account for working a few more days a week. But hey, 5-day weekends are pretty good, I guess. And the other part of it for me is I found that this shirt used to fit quite well. Now you can see it's quite large. Turns out being a dad and not being able to snack all the time because you've got a partner who watches what you eat all the time, you actually lose a considerable amount of weight. So a couple of good silver linings for me. But man, I am getting ready to get back into these borders being open and the world getting back to what we know so we can get back to taking some people around the country.
Wow. So the only person in the whole world that's actually lost weight through this process.
Yeah.
That's something you should be proud of. Thanks. I don't think anyone else can.
I think a big chunk of it has been the fact that I am awake a lot more than I was before, and I'm certainly not I'm eating less than I was before. But when you've got to get up for 1 or 2 hours every night, it turns out your metabolism burns a bit faster, and suddenly all of a sudden need to put another notch in the belt, which.
And probably not being on the road and
Yeah, definitely not being on the road. Yeah,
well,
definitely not being on the road and having whatever you want for lunch every day and stuff. Instead, it's like something relatively nice and healthy, might have some vegetables in it. Yeah, definitely.
That's good stuff. And you say you're working 2 days a week at the moment. Is that, based on, the company's policy across the board for all you guys, or is it,
So as a team, we're either working 2 or 3 days, depending on, so basically we're all on the JobKeeper subsidy.
Yeah.
So basically what it will cover for us. But we're quite well, as a business, we're actually only open 4 days a week. So we're only open Monday to Thursday. And then as a team, we cover those 4 days. So in theory, if you do need something and I'm not working, there will be a member of my team who is more than helpful to help out. Same thing when, one of them is not working, it's my job to fill in and help out. So I personally work Monday and Wednesday. However, very rarely do I actually only work Monday and Wednesday. Someone sends me an email like, that needs to get action now. Or, I'll do it. Someone, you're dealing with other people that are also only working 2 to 3 days a week. You can't find coinciding days. So it's like, look, I'll have a meeting with you on a Thursday or a Tuesday or a Friday or whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, we need to get things going. If I say, no, I can't do that, then we just wait another week and then I'm busy again or they're busy again and we just don't get anywhere. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. And I think, we'll probably all find that, working from home and that sort of mobile stuff that sort of probably will trickle into the other side of this. I think we're all getting used to that concept that you kind of your work will be based on productivity. More than days per week or hours per day or whatnot. You get what you need to be, get done based on the amount of productivity that you can contribute to whatever your role type is. So it makes sense. And from I guess 2 days a week that you guys are working, I'm sure you're crossing over and you're there to support and there for the agents that need you. What about from a sort of proactive standpoint? How are you guys staying connected with your trade partners and the industry as best you can based on that amount of 2 days a week or whatnot?
So I think number one thing, I might be working 2 days a week, but my phone probably goes more like 5 days a week worth of use. I've probably been using more minutes of my phone than I've ever used. Same thing, Zoom calls. So as a team, we have a couple of Zoom catch-ups every week. It seems crazy, you're only working a couple of days and you've still got a couple of catch-ups. All my partners, I've done a few webinar sessions with different partners because you're finding that this is a great time to upskill yourself, learn some new products. So before you might offer that service, say, hey, we can get, I can do an hour session, jump on and do a training. You get 4 or 5 turn up. Now it's 30, 40. Really want to get involved, which is awesome to see. So for that, for us, it's about still getting face-to-face interaction. I honestly think there will be a big shift from the traditional rep going into a store and seeing people to actually more of we can do that on a Zoom. We can do a morning training over a Zoom. Do we need to actually bring you in the store, especially with social distancing going to be a thing for a little bit longer? I can see more and more morning trainings. We'll have to send them coffee vouchers instead of actually physically picking them up the coffee. Because it's just going to be, I think, the way I'll have to go for a little bit longer. But man, I am looking forward to that first walk into a store and just be able to say, g'day, how's it going? And a face-to-face, physical, be able to actually see someone. It's not quite the same looking at them on a computer screen.
Yeah, look, obviously I've been playing on this Zoom for quite some time. Now I think this is number 24 or 25 or I
lost count.
Not that I don't enjoy them and I absolutely enjoy the chats. And I've probably connected with more reps in my role, previous to COVID than I would have in what I was doing. But, it is what it is. And I think we all crave that human interaction, and getting into shops and seeing people and seeing, how everyone's days are going and just having that, I don't know what it is. It's like body language stuff where you can just, you feed off other people's energy, I guess. And that's what comes from that. So, what about policy stuff? What do you guys have in the works at the moment? What are you working on? Is it all case by case stuff? Have you got some blanket, dates or rules, got the opportunity? Did you want to sort of share that with the agents at the moment?
So there's always a case-by-case situation, but we do try and have a blanket rule. So it's the same old story. It's a blanket rule, but there's always a case-by-case situation that can change things. So for us at the moment, all of our products, so not just the trains, all the products around Australia are currently suspended until 30 June. However, whether that's the final date and whether we start operating in July, it really is a wait and see game. by the look of it, with the borders not being fully open, I can't see the trains operating in July. There's currently a bit of war of words between a few of the premiers, which is not really helping us at the moment. I thought it was going to go good, and it's actually gone the other way, so it's not really what we're after. But the WA Premier is pretty still on, stand on his position of, no, this is better for WA. I'm getting, everyone is approving of me doing this. In Queensland, we've got a similar thing as well. So there's actually already talk that in Sydney, we'll be going to Auckland sooner than we go to Brisbane. So good for my family, but not so good for me as a business. But then we've got a lot of intrastate products. So for example, your Cruise at Sundays and your Rottnest Express and your Darwin Harbour cruises, they're going to be able to start operating quite soon. Things will obviously have to be changed around a bit with social distancing, which will limit to how many people we can take. For example, at Cruise at Sunday, we've got a pontoon that could have held 250 people. It's more going to be like sub 100, just because we can't, with four square meter rule, you've got to make it all work. We're not going to operate in an unsafe environment. We want to do this the right way. It's better to go too low and be able to add people than the other way around and go too high, and then you've got to actually take them off, and it becomes a whole drama. But the other part for us is that we've actually done a partial launch. So the big thing for us is obviously we've got a lot of people with credits sitting there wanting to travel. And so we've done a partial launch for the 2021 season. So our year runs from April to March. Usually we'd open in July, but at the start of about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, we opened up for April to November 2021. So it's not a full launch. We've just opened the Indian Pacific and the GAN in terms of the trains, but it's great for those people who have booked with us, who have a credit and like, I want to rebook that. So all those dates, most of the dates that have been suspended are now reopened again. We have not increased prices, so there's no price increase from season to season. So the big thing is, that they're not going to, if they book the same date, same fare type, it's going to cost them the exact same amount of money. That credit will cover it. And the other part is for people, for new bookings, we are taking new bookings as well. And we are surprisingly it's gained really good traction. We're a little bit nervous, but hesitant whether people would want to book or not. But 2021 seems far enough away. We've come a lot more lenient in our terms and conditions. So the big thing for us is, we have an advanced purchase fare, which people usually try and book with us. You get a 20% discount. It's really worth it. It was 100% up front, and that was it. Like, you paid it, and that was it. There's no changing, no nothing. You've paid your money. We've changed that to be a 50% deposit up front, remainder due at the end of November, but you can change the date. So for us, we want people to be comfortable that when they put their money down with us, they're not going to be stuck and they have to go on that set date. If they're not comfortable traveling, fine, change the date. Move it to a date you're more comfortable with traveling. That's absolutely fine. Just if you put in the money with us, you've got until the end of 2022 at the moment to use it. Same thing, if you've got a booking in August or September, we haven't actually cancelled that service. We are willing to let you change the date to a future service. You won't have to have a price increase now because we've kept that price the same. And that means that you'll have people going, like, the border might be open, but I just don't feel safe and comfortable for whatever reason. That's absolutely fine. We totally understand that. There are going to be a lot of people in that position. So we're happy to then move them across to whatever date suits them for the future year. But if they do move from, change date, they move from a low season to a high season, yes, there will be a price increase. If they had to change fare types, from an advanced purchase to what we call an everyday fare, yeah, there will be a little bit of a price increase, but it won't be more than what it would have been if they'd moved in the same seasonality.
And just some of the thoughts were going through my head when I was hearing you say that was, the industry sort of moved towards this kind of advanced purchase, non-refundable, discounted, whether it was hotel rooms or flights or, and from a travel agent perspective, that became quite challenging. That urgency, you've got to book now and then, you've got to travel or your money's done. And it feels like, we pushed it so far to that point that nearly almost everything that people were booking was instant purchase. And because there was always an incentive to do so. And that's obviously bit, a lot of people, a lot of companies, agents and everybody, in the butt a little bit because of that. But again, you would like a customer to want to buy the more flexible option because that was probably an easier experience for everybody. But you understood, just like yourself, you probably, everyone's looking for a deal and everyone's looking for a discount. And in your head, you're never going to cancel. So why wouldn't you take the discounted rate up front?
You're always going to go. So why do you need a flexible fare?
Yeah.
But it is something we have noticed as well, even with our more lenient terms and conditions, the new people booking are booking, happy to pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
Usually our advance purchase would be sold out for most dates already by now.
Yeah.
If we've been launched for 2.5 weeks, especially in high season, your June, July on the GAN, for example. But we're finding there's actually most dates have still got advance purchase because people are happy to pay a little bit more for that peace of mind, not having to pay as much up front. It's only a 10% deposit instead of 50. And they can change up to 14 days before. So there's a lot more flexibility. And they're like, look, the deposit's not due to, the remainder's not due to 45 days out. There's a whole lot of added bonuses to it. And so people are going down that line, and look, we're more than happy if that's what they want to do. They want to go that way. They give that to choice. But at the end of the day, we've realized we can't be expecting people to pay us 100% up front. That's just not realistic. And it becomes a nightmare for the travel agent, who's then got to figure out how they deal with that situation, but also for the guest who's just, I'm not comfortable putting that sort of money down. So we've thought, okay, how can we make this work for everyone involved so we can still reward them for putting a bit more up front, give them that extra discount. So we've kept the discount the same amount, but we've just realized we've got to spread that money across a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's kind of like, do we shift back to the last minute booking, the being more of the discounted one, as opposed to book, 3 years in advance and get 20% off. Obviously it's quite extreme, 3 years, but you know what I mean? Like, is it a better concept? And I'm speaking not on behalf of the industry, but just in my own head on how I would like to be able to manage this would be, customer books 12 months in advance, a healthy deposit. That's maybe a little bit more than what we used to take, so that there is some money coming in to the suppliers and to people that need that cash flow, and that final payment coming later, and a little bit more flexibility, and then so that companies can remain viable. Then maybe that last minute discount becomes a thing again, that kind of sort of went away from the industry over the last probably decade. And do we fill spaces with people that are, can at the drop of the hat, go somewhere, do something. Whereas kind of, if you think from the airline's perspective, you're almost, penalizing those people that needed, to travel within, 2 days time, and you're paying $449 for a super flexible fare that you don't need. If you booked 2 days before you're traveling, you're going. Whereas the person who books 12 months in advance possibly needs the flexibility, but they're incentivized by this $89, flashy, shiny thing that's put in front of them. So I don't know if anyone else is thinking about that,
it's definitely something we are 100% thinking about at our end. I can tell you which way my revenue manager wants the money to go. He definitely wants to see it in our side to have some cash flow in the business, because that's obviously one thing we did get found out a little bit was every supplier did. There was a lack of cash flow from certain avenues, and we've had to figure out how to make that work a little bit better. But at the end of the day, the guest is going to be the one that decides how that works. So we've always had the two alternate payment terms. The more flexible and the less flexible, always available, or available when it's available. But you're right, there might be more of distress inventory going around, and therefore that will create that last minute sort of offer. But as a supplier, I can tell you the last thing we want is distressed inventory. But I think there'll be two types of travelers: those people who are still happy to pay up front as long as they see flexibility to it. I don't gone are the days where, as you're saying, people want an instant purchase, no term, no flexibility. It is what it is. I personally don't see it happening that way. But people probably still have to put their money down further away with it, as long as they know that if something happens, they'll be fine. They can move their stuff, they can change things if they need to. So they're almost paying for the flexibility up front rather than the price tag.
And it's, even from a travel agent's perspective, it could get to a point where travel agents are really just refusing to book, that so restrictive product, because I guess in the back of their mind, they're probably thinking, even if I do get them to sign, an invoice and agree to the terms and conditions and all that sort of thing, if something happens like another wave or another outbreak or whatever it is, they feel like, they're still going to be penalized and abused and told, give me my money back, regardless of what it was. So, it's kind of preempting, avoiding, that situation again, that we've all seen happen over the last few months. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we'll digress from that a little bit. But that's something just I don't know that I was thinking about that makes a lot of sense in that space.
I think the guest will be the one that actually controls how that happens. It really will depend on how they're comfortable booking, whether they're happy to have those terms or whether they want to actually get more flexibility, and whether they'll pay for the flexibility. That's the thing it's going to be, because traditionally that's what we've always done. But whether or not we have to change that model, or maybe the flexibility is from booking earlier, they get the lower price point, but they booked it earlier, so therefore they get the flexibility.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way of looking at it that I know will come out in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. And what about product wise? I mean, I don't know if you want to give us maybe just, you've mentioned a few of the brands that you represent, but what's coming? Is there anything new? Is there anything exciting? You know, I don't know if you want to take the opportunity just to mention all those different brands.
So I'll do a bit of a lap around Australia. So obviously we're most well known for the trains. We are what was Great Southern Rail, but we changed the name to Journey Beyond about 2.5-3 years ago now. The reason being we bought a considerable amount of products around the country. So if you start in Perth, we have a product called Rottnest Express, which is a ferry service operating from Fremantle and Perth itself out to Rottnest Island, and then day touring on the island with boats, buses and bikes. Going up the coast, Ningaloo Reef sells Salas. That's a glamping property right on the reef. The selling point of Ningaloo Reef, it is a swim away from the beach. Great Barrier Reef, you're about a 90-minute boat ride if you're in Early, where you can literally swim out to the reef. People always ask me about sharks. There's no sharks, they can't get above the reef. Well, there are reef sharks, but they're not dangerous. All-inclusive, 5-star style glamping property, just absolutely mind-bogglingly beautiful. In Broome, we've acquired a company called Horizontal Falls Seaplane Adventures. Again, the name kind of says what it does. It takes you from Broome in a seaplane to the Horizontal Falls, and then we've got boats, a pontoon actually based there, and then from there, boats through the Horizontal Falls, and either a four-wheel drive or a flight back, depending on which product you choose to purchase. Then in Darwin, we've got Darwin Harbour Cruises. So it's a sunset cruise on Darwin Harbour. Obviously for us, it works really well with the GAN. We were getting a lot of people booking onto this product anyway. So it was kind of a third-party product that we brought into our family. So it's an easy one because with the time the train departs and arrives, you'll have a pre or post night in Darwin. So it's done pre or before or finishing the train. About 2.5 hours on the water, commentary explaining the history of Darwin and the different events that have gone on. It was a buffet style dinner. That is one thing that's definitely going to have to change. We are, it's a work in progress. We need to be able. We don't want to have to change the price point to become a different style of meal. Also, the kitchen isn't huge on board the vessel, so we've got to really. These are the things we've got to work through, and also working obviously on the social distancing side of it. So these are the interesting ones. Buffet, I can't see happening for probably a year, 2 years, or if we did have and no one would want to order from it. So we've got to sort of find an a la carte menu that's good enough that also fits into the price point.
I wonder if just on that, I'll just jump in here and I'll let you go back to the product stuff, but pantry style buffets is kind of where a lot of the cruise ships and so forth went to. And I feel like maybe that, it's going to be somewhere in between that a la carte and buffet, serve yourself, where it's kind of little tiny packaged meals that are, safe and all of those things that they can just go and collect and pick up, or, a bit more packaged stuff, which hopefully can keep those price points at a point.
Correct. And that's what we've just got to figure out. How do we package that? How do we get it on board? How do we store it on board? Do we heat it on board before we go on? Do we heat it off the ship, take it on, and then reheat it? What do you do? Like before, we were actually cooking everything on board. So it's a how do you make that all work? But that's what the fun of the current time is, and it's definitely keeping our team up in Darwin very, very busy figuring out how that works. Because in theory, they can actually start operating very soon, but only for Territorians, obviously. Along working with the social distancing. So they're just trying to figure out how to make that work, and then they should hopefully start operating in the next few weeks is the hope. But they have said until 30 June, but they could go earlier if the time there. Then going down the coast, you go into the Whit Sundays, into Airlie Beach. We've got Cruise Whit Sundays. So this has actually got a brand new product, so it's quite exciting. The start of the year, I want to say start of February, so not long before everything all sort of happened, we opened up a new pontoon. So we're the only company in the Whit Sundays with a pontoon on the reef itself. We've actually got 2 of them. And the new one has underwater hotel rooms. So it's called Reef Suites. Basically, you can spend the night underneath the water. You've got windows out into the reef itself. You can see Nemo, etc., swimming past you. Very, very unique experience. There's only 2 of them. So it's only you and another couple potentially in there for the night. Then up on above the pontoon, we have what we call Reef Sleep, which is it's like a swag, we call it, but it's a lot nicer than a swag. Basically, it's a double bed with a canvas roof over the top of it. And we've got 15 of those that you can stay up on the top. Again, all-inclusive product. But on top of that, we also have a traditional trip out to the reef for the day where you got snorkeling, etc., off that pontoon. You do Whitehaven. We've got what's called Chimera, which is a catamaran, and then we also do the ferry services in between the islands, etc., for people wanting to go to Hamilton Island for the day or daydream, whatever it happens to be, or picking up and dropping off people who are staying at those to do different activities. Then you go down the coast, and again, a new product for us. This launched in February as well. Will be Journey Beyond Cruise Sydney, which is a lunch and dinner cruise on Sydney Harbour. So we operated for about 6 or 7 weeks. Might not even been that much. I might be exaggerating actually. And that had to obviously be suspended as well. So this is quite exciting for us. This is our only product that we have started ourselves. All the other ones we've purchased as a business and brought them into something else. This one, we've got the vessel, built it all up, made it ourselves, and then put it on the water in Sydney. So 3-course dinner, 2-course lunch, all-inclusive drinks with it as well. Beautiful dinner. That is an a la carte style dinner, so that one will be fine. We just need to get the social distancing going. We were able to cater about 90. It's probably going to be more like 40 odd going forward, just to make the working with the 2 decks, etc., and staffing. So we're just waiting to be able to hopefully get back on the water once the numbers start to work for us in New South Wales and sell some. I'll be able to sell something because that's my only product that's actually based in New South Wales. So, and then obviously with the trains, Indian Pacific goes east to west, Sydney to Perth. The Gang goes north to south, Adelaide to Darwin. And then you've got the newish one, so the Great Southern, which travels from Adelaide to Brisbane along that coast, which is actually the GAN running in its off-season of January and February. And then we've got the Overland, which services between Adelaide and Melbourne. Slightly different. It's not an overnight service. It's a day train, about 10.5 hours. That was supposed to have its license renewed. However, that got, again, coronavirus, stopped that happening. We were almost in agreement with the Victorian government to get it to go a little bit further forward, but that has been put on hold, and hopefully come out of this, we'll get an agreement to move further forward and get a little bit more funding to be able to keep that ongoing. But we can't make an announcement until we've actually got that agreement with the Victorian government, and obviously they've got bigger things to deal with at the moment than whether or not a train operates between Adelaide and Melbourne.
Wow, there's an array of products that you guys are now involved with, which is awesome, and that new stuff up in the reef sounds really, really cool. I think we might. I mean to say the other exciting part of having all these products is that we are now moving into the wholesale side of it as well. So if you've ever booked one of my trains before, you'll see we've got packages that usually would have third-party product in it. Traditionally, we have one of our own products in it, but we're now almost at the point where, again, this is something that was going to be launched about when coronavirus hit, with a full wholesale program. So we can literally book everything from start to finish, including flights. And be able to tailor make it a little more. Right now, it's really more of it's a package. You book that package, and it is where it is. But now we're almost at the point, you can say, I want 2 nights accommodation instead of 3 in Darwin, or I want to have an extra night. I want to fly here afterwards. We can add all that in. We can really, really do the full wholesale side of it. But sadly, again, that's another project that will probably get hopefully launched later on in the year when everything starts to settle back down and we get back into some form of normality. Which it's going to be great for the agents to be able to deal with you guys in that way and know it's all done in one place.
Correct.
Speaking of agents, you guys I think you've got a training sort of platform for them. What's it called, and what do they expect to see on there?
So it's unnamed, I'll be honest with you. Basically, we want them to become a Journey Beyond specialist. So what we've done is, most people come to it for the trains purely because that's what we're most well known for. But when they get in there, we want people to learn about the other products. So we have a module on each of our different products. And then from there, I think it's 6 modules, you'll be completed at the end of it. So the link is, I'm pretty from memory, is journeybeyondspecialist.com. However, we'll give you the link at the end of this. And it's brand spanking new. So another one, we literally launched it the week everything went crazy. And it was, we thought we'd made a name, but it didn't get officially signed off, and therefore it sort of got passed off. And now there's talk that that's not the right name and that sort of stuff. So unnamed, but you can become a Journey Beyond specialist. That's the thing to know.
Cool. And we'll drop all those links on there, and there's some awesome product there. And I think the Reef Suite stuff and some of those other things, we'll pop some links up, and maybe the agents can use that on some of their own socials and start getting people thinking about some really exciting side of that product. This is kind of towards the end of the chat, we ask questions like what are your thoughts on what people should be doing right now, and what hobbies have you created, and any advice out there to the agents. But I guess with an 11-week-old, you've probably just become an expert nappy changer, or just really engrossed in that side of the world. But do you have any thoughts from just a general point of view of all of that?
Yeah, you're right. Definitely fatherhood has taken quite a bit of my time. I think my partner would like to disagree on me being an expert yet, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying. I try every day. I think for me, the big thing is take this opportunity to upskill yourself. Especially as sort of it's a bonus for me, but for a lot of people, understanding that domestic is the first thing probably to take off. Upskilling yourself. A lot of people, you're Australian, you lived here all your life, or you lived here for a good chunk of your life, but do you know every corner of Australia? Do you know about what happened, what the Kimberleys look like? Have you been up that way? Have you seen everything in the Northern Territory? Tourism Australia's got that Aussie specialist. It is designed for the inbound agent, but I've been doing it. I think I'm 3 modules in. And I've definitely a couple of things I've learned. Stuff about Canberra I've never really knew about before. So there's lots of little things out there you can definitely learn about. And also, it's a great chance to really pick up that hobby that you've known about and you've loved about for years, but you've always thought, I just don't have the time for it. For me, as I've got back into part of my weight loss, I've got back into running. Been running about 5 days a week. So really, it's a good chance to dust off the cobwebs. Maybe you're secretly a big knitter, but you just never really wanted to admit it to anyone. You're at home; no one's going to see you. So not many people come around to visit. So get back into it. Get yourself a really nice jumper for the cold winter months that are coming up.
Yeah, that's great, mate. Look, thanks so much for your time. Such a relevant product for the agents to get their head around and make sure they're well versed in at the moment. So we'll put as many links and references and so forth that the agents can jump in and explore all of that world. It's exciting. Hopefully the domestic stuff does come through, and yes, there's challenges with the borders and the premiers and all those sorts of things, but fingers crossed. All we can really do is just get prepared for it and make sure that we're ready to go and start booking those customers as soon as we possibly can. And good luck with the little one, mate.
Thank you.
It's been a long time since I've had an 11-week-old in my house. I think I've got some distant memories of what that experience is. I've got an 11-week-old puppy in my house at the moment. So
I got told the other day it's the same thing.
Yeah,
I got told a puppy's harder work than a baby the other day.
Only people that don't have kids and only have puppies will say things like that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But again, mate, thanks for your time. Lots of value. I got lots out of it today, so I'm sure the agents will as well once we pop this up on the site. So good luck with the next few months, and hopefully you guys are up and running in full capacity as soon as possible.
Thanks, Josh, and I appreciate you organising all this. It's really good to get in front of people and have a chat. And if there is any issues or queries, people please get in touch with us. We're more than happy to help. That's what we're here for. Between the 4 days we all work a week, we can help you out with whatever you need.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Look forward to catching up on the other side.
Thanks, Josh.
Cheers, mate. Bye.